No Mai, welcome to the WOW podcast. I am your host, Cleo Shortland. Join me as I travel the world exploring the lives of visionaries reshaping the world in their own unique way. All the inspiration we need for our own creative and self-discovery journey. Today we're filming this series in Sydney in Australia, and I want to take a moment to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this space. I acknowledge elders past, present and future, and I'm so privileged and honoured to be using this location for this very meaningful discussion on nonviolent communication. This is a language that describes your inner dialogue or what's truly coming alive within you, and I promise that this is so much more than how I'm describing it right now, and I feel like this conversation is going to unfold and reveal more of what's inside of this language and dialogue. I also want to acknowledge the late Marshall Rosenburg, who founded Nonviolent Communication, or NVC. He came up with NVC during the 1960s, during the civil rights movement, and he was a world peacemaker and founded the Centre for Nonviolent Communication in the 1980s. My guest today, I'm super excited about. I have Shari Elle from The Living Work, and her work spans 25 years, having trained directly under the late Marshall Rosenburg. The Living Work specialises in nonviolent communication, training leaders all across Australia and online, connecting them with the people that they're leading, building meaningful connections, and working collaboratively for meaningful problem solving. I'm also a student of NVC. I've been practicing for about 6 years now, and if you have one of those relationships, maybe it's your boss, your partner, your teenager, whatever, where you're clashing and you just can't seem to ever resolve conflicts. If you've got that person, or maybe you're avoiding conflict, I promise this episode is for you. Thanks for joining me, Shari.
Oh, so much fun.
Shari, your work spans 25 years.
Yes.
In nonviolent communication.
In nonviolent communication.
What was it that drew you into this work?
Yeah.
What was the pull?
So the first thing is that it's almost like I knew I wanted to make a difference in the world. And I think there's many people who recognise that. But I didn't know how. I didn't know how that was going to happen. And then by pure accident, I happened to attend there was a trainer out from the UK, and she was running a nonviolent communication training, a 2-day foundation training. And because I was working alongside my business partner who was organising this, or co-organising it, I ended up getting a free ticket. Of course, I really didn't need to do any communication training. My background was that I worked with organisations, and I taught salespeople, I taught general managers how to communicate better. And, I didn't have problems in my life. So, I really didn't go because I needed anything. But what I realised was really shocking. I had, for a long time, taught people, if someone says this, then you say that, or you do this. But what I realised was that even though I meditated and did yoga and sat with enlightened beings on the planet, and thought that I was really aware, what I realised was in that training that I had no words for my inner world. I had no vocabulary to describe either my feelings. I had 4 feeling words, and I had no understanding that I had needs, that this energy of needs was moving through me all the time. and that I was putting so much energy into trying to manipulate, I don't mean that in a bad way, but just try and organise the outer world to look the way I wanted it to look, so I would get what I want, and then I'd be happy. And I was pretty bummed out when they didn't do what I, if I just be nice enough to you and do enough for you, then you'll want to do things for me, and then when I ask you, or I don't even ask you, I just kind of hint that I want something, then you'll just naturally do it, and then I'll get what I want. And so I didn't realise how much work I was putting into that. And then, so that was, there were all these revelations. That I didn't even know my inner world. With all that self-awareness, with all that education, I had no language or awareness of that inner world beyond sitting down and meditating. And so then I also saw that the language that we've inherited, because my learned language was so full of shoulds and shouldn'ts and musts and can'ts, and it was like if I did try and feel inward and sense what was alive in me, I would be all twisted, and that's how it felt, so twisted up with not being able to access it because of the language that I learnt. So it blocked me from actually even knowing myself. Mm. And the other thing that I realised in that training was the power of this self-awareness through our language and through this authenticity to actually change the world. That when I make clear observations rather than a whole lot of interpretations, when I connect with what I'm feeling in my body, not in my thinking, but in my body, when I'm connected with what really matters to me, and also when I then have clear, powerful requests in alignment with that, then all of a sudden I'm connecting human being to human being. It's a whole different level of connecting and knowing each other and authenticity than what we've learnt is authenticity. And that is so powerful. And so I just saw that this is such an incredible way of creating the world we want to live in. So I straight away decided to become a trainer and went and studied with Marshall on the top of a Swiss mountain. Wow. For 9 days there was only 21 other people there, plus 2 amazing other NVC trainers. And came back and straight away started teaching, and that was in 2001.
Wow, that's amazing. And as part of this discussion, I spent some time listening to Marshall's teachings. Gosh, what an amazing man. What do you remember of him?
Oof. So the first thing that really matters to me is to firstly acknowledge both the visionary that he was, that he followed what he knew he was here to do. He gave up what was the largest private practice of psychology. He was a psychologist in New York. So probably the largest, or one of the largest private practices in the world. And he gave that up because he knew he was here for something more than that. I don't mean more grandiose, but he knew how important this work was and what a difference it made in people's lives. So he just went wherever anyone wanted him to go, and they gathered together people, and he would teach them this model. And he knew that communication was a massive part of the way that we think, and unraveling the way that we think, and creating peace in the world. So what I knew of him was his unwavering dedication to this and his immense intelligence. I don't think I've ever met someone so intellectually on point, just sharp, so sharp. And at the same time, he was not perfect. He was not a perfect human. And I think that that's a really important part of this work, is that this isn't saying, okay, now reach some place of perfection. This is about us being in our humanness as we are, in bringing as much authenticity as we can and as much awareness as we can. And, we're baby giraffes. We're changing a history of at least 5,000 years of learned hierarchical thinking. So, yeah, he was an amazing man, incredible man. I looked at his schedule one year at what he had on, and there was 11 days he wasn't either teaching or travelling.
And hey, Shari, I mean, there's some synergies between Marshall and your schedule, because so I reached out to Shari when I was coming to Sydney, and I looked at her calendar because it's available online, and it's like back-to-back workshops. Where do you find that energy to have these back-to-back workshops, and then also you had space to come and do the pre-work for this as well? Where does that come from?
Yeah. I think I want to prioritise more time for self-care as well, right? So just to name that, that's probably is an edge for me, because I know when I do prioritise that, then everything else is even richer, So, but also I very much know I am here to give my gifts in the world, that it's a waste to know that I have these gifts and all this study and all this learning. Every time I run a training, I'm learning, and those learning cycles accumulate, and that means that whoever comes benefits from 25 years of back on back learning cycles. And I see that with other trainers as well, just how powerful that is. So I'm very connected to what matters to me, to what I'm here for, but also I listen to my inner knowing. And I know I was such a powerful inner yes to respond to your invitation. I just knew I'm a yes. And somehow when I know I'm a yes for something, everything else kind of just works its way out. It works out, So, yeah. So again, I'm just really grateful to be here with you.
Me too. It's been such a great day so far. I do want to leverage off something that you mentioned earlier about leadership and in NVC creating the clarity for when you're leading a team and you got this vision, you got to communicate that in some way, don't you? And I liken that to, say, I'll give the team a message and be like, okay, you got to go paint a house yellow. I'm just oversimplifying it for the example.
Yeah.
And then it comes back with different shades of yellow.
Yes.
And then you think, oh, that's not quite what I thought, but sometimes it comes out better when a leader or someone is communicating instructions or for the wider group to go away and do something. How does NVC help create that clarity? Or is it a type of language where you're not super prescriptive? Yeah, I wonder, how do we communicate in a way that we want to convey our message while also leaving space for the people that you're leading and their own authenticity and their own creativity?
Yeah, gosh. That's a huge question, isn't it? There's so many parts of that. I think a core thing for me, it's so powerful. So the first thing is that most of the time, what we've been conditioned to do is to be moving from scarcity and to try and avoid all these things that we're afraid of, and to try and control all the outcomes in the exact way that we think that the outcome should go. And part of the problem with that is that, well, there's so many problems with that. So first thing is, you don't get the best out of the people who you're working with, because you're not hearing what they're seeing. You're not hearing any challenges that they have with what you're putting forward. I looked at the Gallup research that they'd done on engagement in Australia, and I think the number was something like, we only have 23% in our workforce in Australia and New Zealand, 23% engagement levels. If I'm just trying to control everything, then you just need to do what I say to do. And so then if you just do what I say to do, where's your engagement? Like, you're just following orders rather than bring your heart, rather than bring what you're seeing, bring your contribution, bring all the information that you have that actually can create a far better outcome. And so I'm not getting the best out of my people if I'm in that control place. So one of the really important things with NVC is it challenges me to be consistently aware of what needs am I trying to meet. Not what strategy am I trying to use, but what needs. What is it I care about here? What are the qualities that I'm really wanting to bring more of, whether it be reliability for our clients, whether it be achieving the goals that we're setting out to achieve in this fiscal year, whether it be how we're serving our clients better, whether it be what are the needs that we're really trying to achieve. And so what that does is it frees up the how. It allows people's input. And by the way, that's one of Stephen Covey's top, I think it might even be the first, begin with the end in mind. What are we actually, not exactly how are we going to do it, but what are we actually really caring about here? What do we want? And from that, we can bring everyone together. Then everyone can bring their energies together in the same alignment. We can share what it is that we're seeing, or share what we are concerned about in a direction that we're putting forward as going. And we can make suggestions that will move us more powerfully in that direction.
Beautiful. I wonder, just listening to you speak about that, personally, I think something that I try to control is time. Like this morning, I was, we're all getting ready and team's getting ready, and I want to be on time, and we were 10 minutes late, and I didn't lose it, but I really sensed that I felt quite angry and disappointed because I value everybody's time, and it had no consequence to the unfolding of today, but it really got me, and when I thought about it, I was like, I'm angry, and everybody's time is really valuable to me, but I guess that's not the underlying need that we're talking about. Maybe that's the strategy.
So I love what you're saying, because it's almost like what you're saying, everyone's time is so valuable. I'm angry that we're not doing what we said we'd do. That's normally the level that we're navigating life through, is that level of thought. Very reasonable, right? Like, this is what we set out to do. Why didn't we do it? Someone's at fault for not doing it. Maybe me, because I haven't pulled it together enough. But if we drop down deeper, what am I really feeling? I'm feeling anxious because I'm really wanting to honour agreements. And also, I really want to contribute to something magical here. So the need for honouring agreements and for contribution. Now my heart can start to warm to what I really care about, rather than be stuck in that right, wrong. And so then from that place, then I move with a different grace, but also I can start this moment fresh. So what do I ask of myself now?
I found that even with the 6 years of training, and I consciously knew, I was like, we're talking about NVC today.
Perfect.
You know the framework, jump into the framework. I couldn't today. I was just so, like that sense of care and wanting things to go well. It was almost blocking me from being able to go deeper. Do you find that with leaders that, with all the good intentions that we have in the world, that sometimes we're just blocked from being able to go a bit deeper?
Absolutely. Like, I guess I just want to acknowledge that depending on who you speak to, about 5,000 years ago, there was a fundamental shift in the way that we started viewing life and viewing the world. We moved from being communal, being connected with nature, being connected with each other, trusting each other's skills and wisdom and inner knowing and intuition and all of that, sensitivity, and there was something that shifted, and it happened, according to like Walter Wink, who's a theologian, happened like, as I said, 5,000-ish years ago with Mesopotamia and Egypt and so on, where we started conquering lands. We started having to have slaves, conquering each other, we saw humans as inherently bad. So why I'm saying this is because we look at the world and we kind of go, this is just how it is. But I actually want to say this is actually just a creation. This kind of thinking is just our habitual thinking that actually it's because of the ocean that we're swimming in, right? So I want to have compassion, first of all, that this is just our go-to because this is the predominant way that we're seeing things. So, and it takes, first of all, it takes pausing. It takes learning these skills to come back, to move from all this thinking of right, wrong, separation, which is just an overlay on what's really going on. And it actually takes pausing, knowing that it's even possible, knowing that what's happening all the time is life moving in you, and that we've just inherited a very static language. It's this or it's this. I'm bad or I'm good. It's right or wrong. I've done something I shouldn't have done, or I should have done something different. That's just a way of thinking. So the more that I even let that kind of thinking be there, don't even try and control that, but instead just drop deeper. I'm just remembering, for example, doing a training with a communication department, and they'd not long launched an app, and they'd put it out to all their customers. And after they'd put it all out and started getting feedback back from clients saying, this is amazing, it's fabulous, they then heard from legal, I'm sorry, we haven't dotted all our I's and crossed all our T's. You have to pull it off the market. Wow. And the whole time I was there running a training, all these people kept doing was complaining about the legal department and how undermining it was. And it was taking up so much bandwidth, that kind of thinking. And it doesn't resolve that kind of thinking. But like you said, I couldn't get out of it. Yeah. I was just in it, just stuck in that loop of thinking. And so luckily I was there, right? What a lovely opportunity. And I just went, well, hang on. Let's put this into place. So what are you telling yourself about the legal department? What are you telling yourself about what's going on? And so then they started downloading, like I was writing on the whiteboard, all these things that they were telling themselves.
The stories.
All the stories. The legal department is bad. You know, they're destroying our business. They're undermining our credibility. They're cutting trust with our clients. They're like all these they. And then I said to them, okay, and what stories are you telling yourself about you as the communication department? We've let our clients down. We're powerless. It went on, right? So I wrote all of them down. And then I just slowed it and went, okay. And I looked at each one. And what I actually did was went, what are your needs in this? And then I wrote, we got clear what their needs were. Their need for partnership with the legal team, for example. Their needs of reliability with their clients. Their needs to actually enhance the client's experience, and also to have meaningful work, that all this work that they put in, it was actually had some meaning because they put so much work into getting this out. And then the magic happened, because what I said is, okay, let's take a guess at what might be going on for the legal department and what needs they might have. And so on the next column we wrote down what their needs might have been. And it was their needs for safety, for reliability with the clients as well, for profitability, like that's not really a need, but for thriving of the organisation, care, for the well-being of the company. And then as we went on, like you could just see they were all the stories dropped away. All the stories just like fell, and they could see what they cared about, what the legal department, and you could see all of a sudden they kind of mustered themselves up and they went, oh my God, when we've got the lunch break, let's go and talk to the legal department about this, because we know exactly what we need to do now. We just need to identify these needs and then work out a way forward together. And so that's what they did. And they went off and they came back and they went, yep, we got it sorted. We're putting a legal little thing in place that will cover us for 10 days while we cover off so it's an interim legal agreement so that we can cover off leaving it out there with our clients and keeping track. It was just like, but these people had complained for ages about what was going on. So much wasted energy that goes into when we get caught, which is a lot of the time.
I mean, that's the thing, right? I feel like most people have really great intentions, but without the tools, or if we come from a background where it's all about control and dominance and who's right and who's wrong, then there's no opportunity to go deeper for those of us that don't have a Shari with us 24/7.
Yeah, sitting on the shoulder.
What might have been some ways that I could have dropped down deeper, taken time to pause. I do feel like I tried very hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the things that with NVC is I want to acknowledge the jackals. So the jackals by jackals we mean that kind of thinking that is right, wrong, good, bad, should, shouldn't, must, can't, there's no choice, demand energy, where we've got it's your duty, it's your obligation, when we're in comparison, there's a little bit more. So any time that we're in that kind of thinking, the sad thing is that it's looped thinking. There's actually no way out of that thinking. By its definition, it will keep cycling. And that's why so many times we keep thinking about something, well, who was right, who was wrong? And, well, we all know that I was, now I'm going to take a legal battle. But if instead the real way out is not to look at the other side of the coin, but to go through. Because it's like we have these 3 circles. The outer circle is all that thinking, all that right, wrong, stories, should, shouldn't. But if we come in, what am I feeling in my body? So it's like hearing those things, but then going, okay, so what am I feeling in my body. And I'm wondering, actually, if you remember back to this morning, what were you actually feeling in your body?
Yeah, I did take a moment to, I always take my shoes, actually we're talking about that, I always take my shoes off. Yeah. Just like, don't like wearing shoes. But yeah, took my shoes off. I was like, I just need a moment.
Yes.
And I just closed down my eyes, because at the time I was just like really disappointed. And then I felt this anger, and then I was speaking about, this is what I'm feeling, and then from there it moved to anxiety. Like I was feeling really anxious because, you know, like the timing of the day, it's a back-to-back day, it's, you know, we've got to hit all the milestones of the day.
Yeah.
But then I moved into shame as well, and yeah, so just this really fizzing inside, and then I just felt really bad in that moment because I had expressed anger, and, you know, also a care for, you know, the other people that are helping the podcast today, and yeah, it ended up, and then I was sad by the end of it. So I kind of went through this whole roller coaster of emotion, and remember, this is 10 minutes of being like, this is with no dire consequences.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what, did you get to a core need? Did you get to a core thing?
No, I didn't. I felt really rushed, and there was a sense of urgency, and yeah, that's why I was really keen to know, like, how, even though I took that time, right? Like, but just couldn't in that moment couldn't get down to the need.
So here's the thing that, you know, on this, I hear a lot of people who say, yeah, look, I know Marshall Rosenburg. And it's sort of almost
Me
said
too.
that. No, I don't. No, I'm not referring to you. But I hear a lot of people who kind of go, I've learnt that, you know, like, yeah. And they have, right, from there. But actually, the thing about Marshall's work, and this is why 25 years later I'm still doing this, is this is not a thinking process. This is actually a language of life. If you look at his book, it's called Nonviolent Communication, a language of life, because our language and our thinking shifted, as I said, about 5,000 years ago, and started moving into this static, fixed, I am, you are, he should, he shouldn't. It's very static. It's not alive. And our language affects our consciousness and our thinking. Our thinking affects our language, like it's the external of our thinking. And then our language reinforces and builds our thinking. So it's a loop. But what Marshall did was he, and by the way, there's nothing new in what he did. He's just put it into a model.
In the sense that this stuff already exists?
Yes.
Yeah.
He developed this after speaking to numerous people, including Maori in New Zealand, you know, where you're from. But there's many people around the world who he spoke to, and he spoke to about the language that they use. And that was part of where this developed from as well, as a language model, that this is a language that describes our life energy and brings us back to actually being alive. So, and there's a natural, see, the thing is, every time we get locked in those kinds of loops, our energy actually gets locked in our body. So we can't, we might keep going, but there's a frozenness that happens in our life energy that we can sort of override sometimes, but sometimes it gets caught even in our body as trauma and so on. So how that could look, I don't know, because I wasn't you, right? Is I don't exclude any part of my experience. So if I just go straight from my body and pretend I was you, it might have gone something like this. And maybe even just for the visuals, I often, when I'm working with groups, I'll often get them to put their hands on their head to represent their thinking, right? And then, because I really like to build this sense of clarity of when am I in my thinking, when am I in my feelings, and then I put my hands on my heart, when am I in my needs and put my hands on my belly, so that I can really clearly distinguish where I am and how the unraveling is happening, right? So then it might go something like, and I put my hands on my head if you're just listening in audio, oh my God, I am, you might need to edit this little bit out, the extra pause.
No way.
You know, oh no. Oh, here's the thing, what I'm doing right now is I'm dropping into my body and I'm sensing what might have been going on for you. And the magic thing about this moment, and I feel a bit teary, because as a human we have such extraordinary capacities that we shut down because of the language that we have, because we're not connecting with our bodies, we're not connecting to this vast intelligence that we have access to when we just drop into our bodies. This is where we're connected, is when we drop into our bodies. We're not connected when we're in our head. Like that is, yeah, I'm exchanging information with you, and if it's the same kind of information we relate with together, then we call that connection. But it's pretty shallow. And then we wonder why we can't connect with our family. We wonder why we can't connect with our loved ones, because we're not dropping into our body and we're not perceiving from our body, right? The people who live with the land, who live connected in that way, there's a receptivity that's in their bodies. It's not in their heads. That's a disconnect. Important. My mum's got dementia. She's in hospital. Like, she's in bed constantly. She doesn't know who I am. We have to have our brains. We have to have this thinking. But our body accesses us to such intelligence. So what I was just dropping into then was not a thinking of what's it like for Cleo, but actually like a sensing. What might that be like? Sensing. It's like, first of all, it's like, I'm so annoyed. Like, I should be on it. This is an important day. It's like I'm letting people down. I should care more. I should have been better prepared. And the other people are letting me down as well. And so I'm in my thinking. But if I drop down, there's a real vulnerability that's here in my belly and in my heart. Just such a longing to make a difference in the world. Such a longing to be what I do, to be meaningful, and to really let that shine. That's, I'm wondering if that resonates. It doesn't have to.
Yeah, of course. It was interesting watching you move through that process, which I love, the head, heart and gut and touching.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's hard to drop in, right? But if you touch in those places, it can really help, especially when one's stuck. And I think what came through for me was a longing to be seen for the effort that I put in. And gosh, how confronting though. And
what's confronting about that?
I guess because I wanted the need to be like my contribution to the world, yes, or whatever, but really seen for the effort.
That is so vulnerable, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because it's like, oh, okay.
You know what? What was the rest of that? Oh yeah, but okay, what?
I guess, I don't want to say as a woman, as a person that I believe in our thoughts and beliefs of who we think we are. Like, I want to be seen as a person who gives, and yes, and by being late, like that is not in congruence with you know, being late is maybe might show that
I'm doing it for another reason.
Yeah, not like that, like that I don't put enough care in, you know, and that I could be seen for that, which is just so ridiculous now that we're talking about it. It's like, why would 10 minutes being late come
be seen as, particularly when we have had numerous connections, and I know the care that's gone into this, and there's been so much care that has gone into this, and so wanting to be seen for the care that you've taken. But here's the thing, which is a precious need, right? Sorry, I've got hands on my belly. It's a precious need to want to be seen. But there's two parts of it, right? So one part is when I'm really wanting to be seen for the care that I have taken, that I am taking. But then what can happen is a jackal can come up, a thought of, and I shouldn't even want that. I should just be happy to be of service. I should be just okay to just do this for the ultra. I shouldn't even want that, right? I shouldn't even be wanting to be seen in that way. But the truth, and so that's like a underpinning jackal that catches us. And so then we do, every time we don't acknowledge a precious need, and that need to be seen for the effort I'm putting in, it's precious, right? We all want to be seen. We want to be seen for what we do, and seen for what we contribute, seen for who we are, seen for how much this matters. We want to be seen. That's how we know we exist, right? But as soon as we start then judging a need, and by the way, we've all got needs that we judge because for all sorts of reasons, then we can't just be in that natural alignment, you know, because what a beautiful, I know the effort, I know some of the effort that you've put in, and it's such a beautiful thing to not just put the effort in, but to be seen.
And straight away I was thinking, gosh, like I'm like the needs police as well in the back of my head, right? Like, who are you to want those things? And I think maybe this is why this work can be, I think it's so simple, like the framework is incredibly simple.
So simple.
But the actual practice of it is so complex because it ties into so many like unconscious biases that we have, especially around owning and claiming one's needs.
Yes.
And perhaps that's why the work can be so challenging.
Can I just say, for me, this is why I am still doing this work 25 years later. Why I see that this is revolutionary work. Because it is time for, I'm not just saying this as a, that's not where I'm coming from. I genuinely believe that if we do not start to step as humanity into our authentic power being such an important word, because we are powerful, we are connected with divine energy. It doesn't matter whether you believe in life after death or not. It's nothing religious. We're connected into something greater than ourselves. And if we don't start stepping into that alignment, and this kind of head thinking, this jackal thinking, will keep us disconnected from that. And if for humanity to move forward and thrive, this is critical work.
Absolutely. Hey Shari, thanks so much for joining me today. I think what I've really taken away is that you don't have to have everything perfect all the time.
Thank God for that.
We can use all these tools that are available to us. And I specifically loved the head, heart and gut alignment, and actually touching and giving room for all of the thoughts that are coming through, what's being felt in the body. And then finally, what is it that one needs? What's the either met or unmet need in that moment. And if you want to work with Shari or want to hear more about nonviolent communication and the work at The Living Work, I'll pop all the links in the show notes. And if you've enjoyed this show, I would love it if you would subscribe or leave a comment below. It helps the show deeply. It also helps other people find their way here, and I'd be so appreciative if you wouldn't mind doing so. And until next time, holding your visions with you, Mauri ora.